This video is sponsored by me and Light and Sound Media. We have courses on how to improve your lighting and sound for video. Link down below. Now, one of the most exciting pieces of audio for video gear that we all just love and get very excited about are batteries. Not really, but we've got to have them. As soon as you take your field recorder out into the field or on set, you're going to have to power it some way. And external batteries are really, really important. Running everything on AA batteries it's just not realistic for a full production day. So let's talk about these new Powerbase Edge Snap batteries. What makes them unique? First of all, full disclosure, Core SWX sent a couple of these batteries to me free of charge. I'm not and have never been perfectly objective. I'm a human being. I have my own experiences, so everything is colored through my experience. But they have not paid me further, and they have not reviewed this video prior to posting, so there you go. Let's talk about what this is. First of all, this is a 49 watt-hour cine battery, which can piggyback to other Snap batteries, just like this. And once they're piggybacked, you have just effectively doubled the capacity of this battery. So you can, without, say for example, you have this one plugged into your audio recorder to power it, you can literally just do that through the one cable that's already connected. All the power flows from both of them. You just doubled your battery capacity. It's pretty darn cool. That alone is very innovative. One thing that I haven't seen in batteries before. The second thing, with them attached as well, snapped together, you can also charge multiple batteries with a single USB-C power delivery cable. Also really, really nice. These also have a second really cool innovative feature, and that is what they are calling their PD Pro ports. So to get power out of these batteries into the device, you can use one of 4 different ports on the battery. There are 2 PD Pro ports. We'll come to the others in just a minute. The PD Pro ports are fully USB-C compatible and supply between 5 and 28 volts, and they feature a more robust connection than standard USB-C with a stronger physical connection. The green port can support up to 90 watts output, and the black port can support up to 45 watts output. The PD Pro connector on the cables that you get actually negotiates the voltage that you need. So it's based on the cable that you buy. For example, if you want one for your Sound Devices Mix Pre 10 or your Zoom F8N Pro, there is this one with the PD Pro connector on one side and the Hiroshi connector on the other. And what happens is the cable tells the battery, hey, this is how much voltage I need for the device I'm going to connect to. And the connector itself shows the voltage that it's supplying and what it's negotiated with the battery. So that's really pretty cool. As USB-C, you can plug in the cable either way. There's no polarity that you have to match up. So if you need to run the cable, it's a 90-degree connector off a different direction. You can do that as well. Now, PD Pro is also a platform. We'll see what happens. Core SWX says that you can also transmit video and network data through this cable at the same time that it's transmitting or delivering power. That's going to require other manufacturers to get on board with this. We'll see what happens. That would be very cool if they did that. Now, it also, on the battery, has 2 PTAP output ports. So those are the standard ports that you see a lot in cinema for powering all sorts of things. And in fact, that's how I powered my first recorder, my first professional recorder, the Sound Devices 633, is I used a PTAP from a cine battery over to a Hiroshi connector into the 633 to power it. The maximum continuous discharge from the battery is 12 amps, which is 144 watts across all 4 of the outputs. So that's pretty impressive from a tiny little battery. Of course, you're going to run it down pretty quickly if you're delivering that kind of wattage. It also has built-in temperature, current, and voltage protection. And the way that they have wired it, you shouldn't get any sort of ground loop issues, which is especially common on cinema cameras that are using 12G SDI. And they've wired it so that that's not an issue, which is really good. And that's what kind of sets professional level power sources or batteries like this apart from the really cheap ones that you can get. Now, will the cheap ones work? In many cases they will, but they don't have those kind of features that protect your expensive gear, like temperature, current, and voltage protection. So that's a really interesting one. Now, how long can one of these power, for example, a Zoom F8N Pro or maybe a Sound Devices Mix Pre 10 2? We did a test on both of those. Zoom F8N Pro recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, one channel with phantom power turned on. One of these Snap batteries powered it for 8 hours and 47 minutes. Wow. Now, of course, plug in more microphones. record in 32-bit float, turn on phantom power for more microphones. It's going to power for less time. So that's important to keep in mind. Now, for the Sound Devices Mix Pre 10.2, which is a more power-hungry mixer, we actually bumped that one up into 32-bit float recording mode, 48 kilohertz sample rate, 1 channel of phantom power turned on, and 1 snap battery powered it for 4 hours and 52 minutes. Again, to give you just a general idea. Now, the smaller Mix Pre's or the Zoom F6 or maybe even the Zoom F3, you can power those with USB-C from one of these, and they should power for a longer period of time than those. You can also charge these via USB power delivery, and what you'd have to do is you just plug into one of the PD Pro ports. Any of them that are stacked will charge together, which is really cool, so you're not going to have this big mess of spaghetti of cables, and that makes it really, really convenient. You just snap them on and go. It can charge up to 100 watts power delivery. It does have wraparound LEDs on the side of the battery. It makes it so you can see from all different angles. You can also change the LED colors from green to blue to yellow to red, or turn them off altogether if you want to do that, just to kind of help you identify if you have different batteries, say for example, one powering your recorder mixer and the other one for your wireless receivers, and you need to keep them kind of straight in your mind, you can change the color there. That's cool. It also is compatible with the VoltBridge ID app, which allows you to read the stats from the battery via an RFID that is inside the battery. So that gives you information like battery health, charge cycles, current, voltage, temperature, remaining capacity, battery chemistry, date that the battery went into service, and even its serial number. Each of the batteries has a Q20 tap connection on it, so if you want to use this to power your camera, for example, you had a hybrid camera or any camera, really, a smaller camera, you could attach the Powerbase Edge directly to the bottom of your camera on a Q20 and run the cable out into the camera, and you have an extended battery, which is really nice. So a lot of those Sony hybrid cameras, for example, these are really nice for that. There is also an optional quick release plate that is also a cheese plate. So it has 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch taps on it, as well as some of the pins to prevent devices from twisting. It also has the ability to attach it to a V-mount plate. So if you have a V-mount plate on something already, like for example on a camera, cinema camera, you could just slide this in, and then the quick release plate has the magnets on it so that you can attach it very quickly to that. The quickest of the quick release plates out there. It also has a magnetically retained little coin here, so you can torque the 1/4 inch that is on this as well. So you can attach this to a camera rig pretty much anywhere you need to. They've really thought that through nicely. And this quick release plate is only $39 US, which seems like a really fair price. All right, the batteries come with a 1-year warranty, and they are priced at $195 USD for the Snap. The cables, the various cables that you can get, range from $19 to $55, depending on what you need, or you could just use a regular old USB-C cable if you're trying to power a recorder like a Zoom F6 or a Mix Pre 3 or 6, you could just use a standard USB-C cable. I would probably recommend against that because those can pull out pretty easily and they're not generally as robust as the PD Pro cables. All right, there's no such thing as a perfect product. What are some of the cons on this one? I would say the main thing for me is that while the PD Pro connector is definitely more robust, it has this kind of plastic sleeve that fits outside of the USB-C part of the connector, and it does lock in so that it does hold up the weight. This is almost 2 pounds here. It can hold up the weight of the 2 batteries. There isn't any sort of mechanism that you have to press to release it. So while it is locking, it just works on friction. It's definitely more friction than USB-C on its own, obviously, because it can hold up 2 pounds like that. But it doesn't have that retaining clip like you would see, for example, on a locking XLR connector or some of the other locking power connectors like Hiroshi, for example. So that's like the worst thing I can think of for this battery. I think some people who come to this channel are not necessarily professional filmmakers. You are just enthusiasts. And if you're self-funding, yeah, these are not bargain basement priced devices, but they are fairly priced for what you're getting, especially relative to a lot of the traditional cinema batteries that are available out there. So that's my look at the Powerbase Edge Snap from CORE SWX. I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave those down below. In the meantime, get out there and make some great sound. Talk to you soon.